Hi, and welcome back to another episode of At Home with Cathy. And this season, our third season, we're going to focus on Renew. We have taken items that are donated and are painting them so that we can fundraise for Chrysalis House, our local women and children shelter, with an auction in May. So this is a piece that my daughter had, and she bought it thinking she would do something wonderful with it. And what she did that was wonderful was replaced all of the broken pegs down here with something that's a little more substantial, but you can see now it looks unfinished. I looked at it when I first got it. It had little slots here. It looked like it was something that maybe you would sort mail out in. Well, most of us don't get enough mail now that we would need to sort it, and we're supposed to open it when we get it and then file it away, so we declutter anyway. So I looked at this and thought, I think it would be more useful if I knocked all of those out. So I took a hammer, knocked them all out, sanded it smooth, gave it all a rinse. Now I have two smaller shelves, a larger shelf, 3 drawers, and a bunch of pegs. And I thought this might turn into something for organizing your jewelry or your scarves or your hair accessories. Could go in a bathroom, could go in a bedroom. But because it had, you can almost see in here where I had, of course it was stained around where I took those pieces out, so I have to paint this inside. My color choices for this are following nothing in the Colourist, except for the style we're going to choose. We are going to reference the Colourist, which is Annie Sloan's magazine of inspirational things, pictures, images, stories of people who've used her paint and fabrics and their own imagination and all kinds of techniques to create beautiful things in their lives. One of them is this lady, Lucy, who's done a botanical cabinet. And I thought it might be kind of fun to do a paint job and then just do a little bit of detailing to make something a little bit whimsical and a little bit fun. And you could make it, if you were doing this at home, you could make this a little girlish, you could make this more mature, you could make it more bathroomy, you could use it in your kitchen. But the colors I've chosen are a little bit different than what this artist has. I've chosen French linen for my exterior and Antoinette for the interior. And I chose those colors because they're soft. They'll blend into a number of different color schemes. I'll probably paint some of the little flowers and things maybe in a little bit of original or something, because we're going to paint the exterior of the drawers in French linen. We're going to paint the interior here of the cupboard and inside the drawers in Antoinette. And then you know what? This is one of those pieces we're just going to play with a little bit. So the first thing we're going to do is paint the inside in Antoinette. It'll probably take 2 coats, but we'll get the first one on and let's get started. For this, I'm using a flat brush. I need to get right into the little corners of this piece, and I'm going to paint the inside of the drawers too. So let's do that just so that you can see. To get right into the corners, I need something with a nice squared off edge. And that's where my flat brush does such a good job. Now if I'm careful about this and I bring this brush straight up, I can bring it up and I'm not transferring any paint to the edge. It's a nice clean finish. Dip it in, start at the bottom. So I'm always just bringing my brush up. These little handles didn't come off. They're glued and screwed into the wood. And I was afraid that if I tried too hard, I would just end up breaking the wood. So I just left them, and we'll paint right over them on the outside. I'm going to go all the way around, painting that interior, making sure I wiggle paint into all the corners. This wood is kind of a rough wood. It's not perfect. It has lots of little nicks and little, not cracks, but just little pieces, I don't know, pieces missing, I guess, in it. It's rough. So I want the paint to go in there and smooth it out. So I'll add a little bit more paint where it's really rough. And I'm going to go around, do all my inside. I'll do all the sides first and then go back and do a nice smooth finish on the bottom. If I try and do it the other way, I'm just going to end up picking up paint from the sides and making kind of a mess. So I have my sides all done. Now I'll just pick up paint, start in the middle, work down to the ends, and just drag that paint back and forth. This is just to make the inside of the drawer look a little cleaner. And we'll do the rest of them, let that sit, and maybe we'll need a second coat, maybe we won't. But when it's dry, we'll be able to tell if the brown is coming through too much. So we're going to do the same thing to the inside here. Put that right here. Oops, I'll move this back. Let that dry. I'm going to do exactly the same thing. Now I don't have to paint the inside of the drawers, where the drawers go in here, because that's going to disappear. And in my house, whenever you paint, there's always a dog here. Thank you, Zoe. It's extra insulation in the winter. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to paint the insides, making sure I get lots of paint in the corner and anywhere there seems to be a crevice or a little bit of a gouge in the wood. And on this there will be, because I pulled out those pieces that went across to make it a letter sorter or a mail sorter. So I will finish up this and I'll put this to dry, and then we'll come back and we'll put our French linen over it. Okay, so we've painted the inside, and I imagine this is going to take a second coat, but I think what we'll do is put it to dry and see what it looks like in a few minutes. We've used the We've used the Antoinette, and I am going to have to do a second coat on there, but I think I might have to do a second coat of French linen too. So let's get started on French linen, then I'll go back and do my second coats, and when you see it again, it'll be a little bit more finished. I'm going to use a brush to paint in the areas like this, where I need to go around things. But we're going to use a roller to do some of our straight edges, and I'll show you why. So I need the brush in here. Again, getting into the corners. The wood is rough. My daughter was experimenting here with the colors she might have painted this, I'm guessing. On the underside, which is where I would do it, so nobody could see it. Even coat on all of this. You do have to paint the underside of a shelf that you hang on the wall, because you can possibly see underneath it when it's hanging up. And we'll paint those little pegs. I'll tip it up here to paint. I don't want any big splotches of paint drying there, like paint drips. So that, you can see that's what we're going to do here. And the other place I'm going to have to paint, because of the detail, is in here. There's a little bit kind of a crown molding look on this. And so the brush is the only way to get in there. The roller won't do it. It's going to be a very neutral looking piece when it's done, which is nice, because if I'm going to use it to show off jewelry, that's what I want to see. The pink will help jewelry just kind of sparkle. And it's girly. Why not if you're going to show jewelry? Okay, so now I use my brush on the roller in a lot of places like that. Get my roller with just a little bit of paint on it. I don't need a lot. And I'm going to use, grab my mix mat here, and I'm going to roll off the excess paint. Because all I want to do is this. I just want to do a nice clean edge all the way around. If I use the roller, I am going to have to do 2 coats, but if I use the roller, I'm going to get a nice edge that doesn't bleed over into the pink, into my Antoinette. And because I'm not doing the inside of these where the drawers go, I just need to have a nice clean edge all the way around. So it's just a quick way to put a little bit of paint out here. Oh my. Just need, you don't need that much paint. In between, when I'm waiting for this paint to dry so I can do a second coat, I would just wrap my roller in a damp, one of my damp paint cloths. So that it's ready to go. And I don't waste it, all the paint washing it every single time when you're only waiting a few minutes. This dries really quickly because it's such a thin coat of paint. Oh. That would be why we need to do the second coat of Antoinette. You can wipe it off some, but I'll just do a second coat. It's me hurrying. Don't hurry. Paint's supposed to be relaxing. I could even roller the sides of this if I want to. I'll stand it up. Give it a good roller. But you can see that there are places you can roller and places you can't. If I tried to use the roller, I can't get all the way around the knobs on the drawer. So I can roller it to a point, but I'm still going to end up using my brush to make it look a finished look. Otherwise, it'll just have gaps where the paint doesn't go. So for finishing this piece, I'll do a second coat of my Antoinette, my pink. Oops, I will do the French linen over the whole thing. I'll probably do a second coat of French linen over the whole thing. I will let it sit for a day or two, and when we come back, we will do some freehand painting on it in another episode to show how we made it personal. Thank you for joining me, and we look forward to another episode next week. There are 3 ways you can participate in our Renew project. 1, donate a piece for me to paint. Send me a picture though, I can't paint everything. And we're still looking for 4 or 5 pieces that we need to paint, and we will donate paint and donate them to the auction or to Chrysalis House. 2, you paint along with me. Come in and get some paint. We'll consult on colors. We'll give you a discount on your purchase. You paint along with me and donate your piece to the auction in May, and we'll make sure those funds go directly to Chrysalis House. Or 3, what if you don't want to paint or donate? You could donate cash. Project Renew is a building fundraiser for Chrysalis House. You can contact them directly to make arrangements on how to donate. Welcome to the project.